What's up YouTube, it's your boy Bernard for Reals, and on this video I'm going to be talking about imposter syndrome and how you can deal with it. Now, for those of you who are new to this concept, you may be wondering, what the hell is imposter syndrome? Now, this is basically doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. It's a really sensitive term, but yeah. So for the real fans of this channel, and honestly, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for still sticking around. So basically, if you've noticed, I haven't posted anything in about a month, right? And honestly, at first, I didn't really know why I didn't post anything for a month until I really sat down to really think about the reason why I hadn't posted anything for a month, while in the previous month, I was on a 4-month streak of posting consistently every week, almost without fail, on Monday by 6 p.m. for 4 months, every week. Now, how do you go from that level of consistency to going a whole month without posting anything on YouTube? Now, I basically was suffering from an acute case of imposter syndrome, and I'm actually going to share with you guys some things I learned or I noticed, and how we do things to actually feel this monster of imposter syndrome. And guys, please, if you like this video, please like, and if you like this type of content, please subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. The first reason is the struggle for perfection. Actually, one of the biggest lies that I've discovered is that idea or that feeling that you have to wait for things to be perfect before you actually start or do anything, basically anything. Oh my God, I have to wait for the lighting, and oh my God, I have to wait for the perfect camera, or I have to wait for the perfect microphone, I have to wait for the perfect setup. And I mean, it can go on and on and on and on and on and on, and eventually you end up doing nothing. Basically, I haven't posted anything for a month. I'm basically a testimony of the struggle, right? And now I came to the realization that perfection is borderline impossible. No matter what you do, there are always going to be flaws and errors along the way. But the fact that we're on planet Earth is basically the world alone is actually not even a perfect sphere to even begin with. Now, I'm actually not advocating for shabby work or subpar standards of anything, but basically, this struggle for perfection can actually be pervasive in the sense that when you are beginning something, right? When you're starting something, expecting take for example, YouTube, right? You are basically a newbie to the whole idea of YouTube, of YouTube, and you also have zero or no prior experience on videography or cinematography or even making videos in the first place, and you are expecting your first video to look like Casey Neistat or Matt Devella, or for my productivity guys out there, Ali Abdaal. Now, that idea in itself is actually a delusion and an acute blunder that can actually make you doubt yourself in many ways than one. I'm going to end this point with this note. The idea of perfectionism is one of the biggest reasons many perfectionists do not really start anything. Honestly, it's a sad reality, but it's true. So that leads us to the next point. Now, another reason of imposter syndrome is what I call, or what many people call, comparison, right? Now, there's a really interesting saying, comparison is a thief of joy. Now, when we go about comparing ourselves or comparing our achievements relative to other people, not just other people, but people who are super successful, right? Now, imagine a small channel like mine, or another, or maybe if you're a YouTuber watching this, your small channel, comparing your small channel to PewDiePie or Mr. Beast, or also Ali Abdaal or Matt Devella. Honestly, you're basically setting yourself up for mild depression, or it depends on your personality, as the case may be. The severity may vary. And the delusion is you are basically comparing your beginning to someone else's middle, or even the end, as the channel. Okay, now I'm not saying that the channels I mentioned are actually going to end. No, but when I really think about it, that's actually not wise or even borderline foolish, right? And I think the Bible even mentions this, right? I believe in the New Testament, when Apostle Paul was saying they that compare themselves with themselves are not wise, right? So, even the Bible agrees that that comparison is actually not the best course of action in building anything, basically. Now, another reason or another pillar of this concept or this monster, which is imposter syndrome, is actually looking at only the results and not appreciating the process. So like this is actually basically a productivity channel, right? And like my personality, right, I tend to focus more on results. Now, if you're like me, right, it's quite easy to, in your bid to try and achieve a particular goal, it's quite easy to actually lose or cease to appreciate the small wins along the way. What I've noticed is that when you are not grateful for the little things that actually do happen to you, when the big things actually do happen, you are actually still not going to appreciate it, but still is actually basically going to be a spiral of dissatisfaction and unhappiness and misery when you actually fail or lose sight of the little blessings along the way. It's quite easy to forget the hurdles that you've crossed to actually get to where the point that you are on, because you're so focused on the point where you are not. In a nutshell, what I'm basically saying is that when we are striving for results, try not to forget the little wins that you've had along the way. It's really going to encourage you and really reduce the, should I say, the whole imposter syndrome, okay? The next pillar of imposter syndrome is like not having your reasons straight. Now, honestly, I'm going to be straight with you right now. This YouTube channel and this YouTube journey has been one of the most reflective projects I've ever embarked on, because honestly, the fact that I'm trying to produce content and like trying to be on the horse and like trying to like push out content every week, I mean, like it forces you to look deep within yourself, and like it actually forces out some psychological scripts that have been playing without me knowing, right? And actually, there is a really interesting quote that I heard that I think will be really helpful for you, is that reasons come before results. I've also noticed that over time, your reasons can actually change, and that actually affects the results you get. And every time I go through a burnout, it forces me to really sit down and evaluate my reasons for doing it before the burnout. And during this period, I've also noticed that some reasons are actually stronger than others, right? Like, for example, if your reason for doing YouTube or maybe starting that side business is because you want to like make it as a hobby, or I mean, it's just something you do passively, right? It's going to be really difficult to muster 20 to 30 hours, I mean, maybe 50 hours in a week to actually do the needful for that project or for that side business, compared to when that thing is basically your source of livelihood. You're actually going to go through any length to make sure that it works, right? And even given 160 hours weeks, if as the case may be. Now, that just actually shows you that your reasons actually affect the level of results you're actually going to get. But in a nutshell, your reasons for doing something can actually affect whether or not, or the degree in which you can be affected by imposter syndrome. The next point on this video is caring what other people think. Honestly, this was meant to be the first point, but I mean, I'm not really a fan of cliches, so it was too cliche to make it the first point, but it was also too important not to put it at all in this video. So actually, caring what people think is one of the biggest reasons for imposter syndrome. If there was nobody watching in the first place, there would be no need to feel like an imposter in the first place, right? So, I mean, how do you solve this problem? Now, actually, a simple solution is basically work like nobody's watching, right? That's quite easy to say and quite difficult to put into practice, because people are watching and people do talk and people do react in ways you may not like, or in ways you may actually like, and honestly, you can't really control that. So basically, my advice on how not to care about what people think is basically focus on things that you can control. You can't really control what people think, basically, and focusing on what they think is beyond your control, or rather it's outside your locus of control, and Focusing on things that are beyond your control is basically a waste of time and not helpful. So, in a nutshell, focus on your locus of control. And now what you think is completely your business, because how you think affects how you behave, right? How you think affects what you do. How you think affects the result that eventually follow. So now this is basically what I've noticed, right? And I hope it's honestly, I hope you find this video helpful, and honestly, that's the whole reason why I've made this channel, honestly, to share things that are helpful and valuable to people. And I hope it helps you deal with imposter syndrome in whatever field that you may be in right now, or in whatever situation that you may be in at this point in your life. So yeah, question of the day: if you've had to face imposter syndrome at any point in your life, please put it down in the comments below and say, yeah, I understand the struggle, brother. Okay, not to say like that, but I mean to show that you're alive or something. So, but yeah. And guys, if you like this video, please like, and if you like this type of content, please subscribe, and remember to always keep it real. Okay, and before we end, if you like this video, you may like a video maybe somewhere below the screen. Somewhere on this screen, you may actually find the next video hopefully interesting. And yeah.